There is a ton going on this October. We go from lingering Virgo planet bitchiness to Libra justice, smoothing everything over middle of the month, and then eclipse season arrives, end of the month to totally throw everything just everywhere. Big eek moment. If you're excited to get into what we can expect this October 2022, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you are always up to date with what the stars have in store for you. Hi, I'm Maren. I'm a professional astrologer. I also do shit with crypto and travel the world, which I am here in New York. I am in the St. Regis because those of you who follow my vlogs as well might know that since June, I've not had a lease and I've been all around Europe traveling, living out of made 3 suitcases in here basically, and now I'm in New York at a hotel, which is so weird after living here for 5 years to be in a hotel in like near Central Park. But anyway, I don't know where I'm gonna live. Maybe by the time this video comes out I'll have decided, but likely I feel like no. So this is where I am now. Sorry, unrelated to this video. As an astrologer, however, if you're new, I use the tropical zodiac within whole sign houses and primarily Hellenistic Greek astrological techniques. And I don't usually have a middle part, but with the straight hair like I wore last night for my second birthday party here end of August in New York. I don't know, I'm kind of into it. We'll see. Maybe I might go do the flip over thing, which always side part supremacy. But for the purposes of pissing myself off, let's just do this with my poorly strained hair. So in this video, I'm gonna run through the major transits for October 2022. At the end of September, like very end, I always release at the end of every month a detailed predictions video where I run through how this is happening into world leaders charts, countries charts, and I offer a much more detailed look at this. So this is the overview that comes out a little bit earlier so you're aware of the energies and can plan your month. This is not my like really serious political or world predictions video that does come out. So this whole month we have Saturn in Aquarius squaring Uranus and Taurus. Saturn is structure, maturity, and discipline. A square is an aspect of tension, and Uranus is rebelliousness or chaos. So the background energy is one of the conservative status quo of playing it safe versus this rebellious, let's fuck shit up energy, and they're at odds. One and the collective cannot decide and is kind of doing nothing, which is worse than choosing a side or the other. I think that this will become much more relevant at the end of the month with the eclipse season, which I think will be highlighting really relevant social and like voter issues for midterms, likely around women, possibly Roe v. Wade or some developments around that repealing, and some civil issues. So starting out the month from the 1st to the 3rd, we will have Mercury and Virgo opposing Neptune and Pisces. So just watch out at the beginning of the month with some confusion in communication. Mercury is great in Virgo, it's exalted and at home, but it's retrograde and it is opposing Neptune in Pisces, which is a planet of confusion and delusion and dishonesty. So I would expect that there's a lot of confusion and having to go back and reconsider comments or statements that are being made from early on this month. But on the 1st as well, Venus will be opposite Jupiter. Venus and Libra opposite Jupiter and Aries. Venus is little cute shit like food, enjoying things with friends, relationships. Jupiter is big cute shit, which is more like learning, wisdom, travel. And with Venus and Jupiter in an opposition, it's a good day to go overboard. If you're like me and you don't really do that, it's a good day to simply enjoy yourself a little bit more on the 1st. But do watch out for miscommunications, like I said, with Mercury opposing Neptune. However, over the top enjoyment on the 1st is really likely. And then on the 2nd, Mercury is stationing direct in Virgo. So this is during the Mercury-Neptune opposition, which is a little bit like, wow, Mercury is starting to move direct, but it's still opposite Neptune. So as we realize how, I feel like it's the fact that we are realizing how confused we really are and how much we have to go back and change. So it took this long to be like, I really do need to start over or totally redo my plans in this way. Okay, let's get started in the midst of my confusion. Then from the 6th to the 7th, Mercury and Virgo will trine Pluto and Capricorn. Around the 6th, 7th is when communication, logic, travel, etc. really gets much easier because Mercury trine Pluto is focusing communication very diligently and very precisely. So if there's any plans that you need to make, I would make them from the 7th onward because that will ensure that there's a little more energy behind Mercury being concise, being direct, not being convoluted, Neptune in the mix. But obviously I would wait till the mid-month if possible for Mercury to leave shadow. Then on the 9th, there is a full moon in Aries. I really like this full moon. It is opposite the Sun and Venus Venus in Libra. So having a full moon in the same sign as Jupiter with an opposition to Venus, so it's configured to both benefics or cute shit planets, is pretty nice for the moment of this full moon to be a lighthearted release, or at least putting something in the spotlight that isn't too deep. Aries is not deep. It can be a little impulsive or out of control, but it's not really going to bring up the heavy-hitting emotional baggage. And with an opposition to Venus, showing that we're feeling good, especially with whoever's in the spotlight, like we're not really receiving criticism, given that the sun is conjunct Venus, and the sun is often authority or the person in charge. And with Jupiter and Aries, we're feeling very generous. So this feels like a very generous, on the surface, full moon. I mean, with Mars approaching a square to Neptune and with Saturn squaring Uranus, in the background, there's a lot of tension and confusion. I feel like it's an episode of a reality show where it's like, yay, like happy birthday, and then off camera or in like the monologue scenes, they're all talking shit. However, in the moment of this full moon, I am a fan of it. So if there's anything you want to release, announce, have an event on, the full moon on the 9th could be a pretty great time to do this, if not the 8th into the 9th as the moon crosses Jupiter. From the 9th to the 15th, however, Mars in Gemini will be exactly square Neptune. I think I said just now, leading up to square Neptune, I think I meant exactly squaring it because for this whole week, 9th to the 15th, as Mars is very slow and about to station, Mars will be squaring Neptune. Now, Mars is action, aggression, drive, and it's in Gemini, a sign about logic, communication, argument, debating. It's a communication bouncing off from one person to the next sign. So with Mars there, it shows aggression, or I don't want to say violence because it's like, that was violent, shut the fuck up. But aggression in communication and divisiveness in points of view. So having it square Neptune, which is tension with a planet of dishonesty, deception, or illusion, shows we're very unclear about the side that we're on. We're unclear about our position. We're trying to articulate things clearly, and we're realizing in the midst of this fight that we don't know what the hell we're talking about. We're confused about the issue. And with the station retrograde happening soon, I think we're having to go back and rethink our battle plan, so to speak, because we don't really know shit, and we're realizing the person we're going up against may be fighting about a completely different thing altogether. So logical aggression, logical decision making is very impaired, especially in the middle of this month where we're like, whoa, 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 feeling like we're basically drunk mentally. On the 11th, Mercury then enters Libra, which means that communication is leaning towards being oriented of hearing all sides, trying to be more justice oriented and smooth conflict rather than Mercury in Virgo, which is like, here I said what I said, boom, mic drop, that's it, let me be critical. Mercury in Libra is a little bit more people-pleasing, a lot more socially smooth, so that's the tone of communication for the month. From the 11th to the 14th as well, the Sun and Venus in Libra will trine Saturn in Aquarius, which is great for long-term gratification. It's great for choosing to be serious and mature in the way that we're handling social issues. And then right after, from the 17th to the 19th, the Sun and Venus will trine Mars in Gemini, which is great for stepping up to the plate, having the balls to be direct in the way that we do ask for things and both show our gratitude in accepting gifts and also give gifts. So basically from the 11th to the 19th, the Sun and Venus in Libra are trining Mars in Gemini and Saturn in Aquarius. That's a grand air trine with Sun and Venus. Like there's 4 planets involved there, which is really nice. Heavy air sign energy to be logical about the way that we're handling social issues or intellectual problems. So I do really like the middle of the month for the Sun, Venus, and Libra, trine Mars, trine Saturn. It's an air sign heavy month for getting shit done and bringing things up to the surface, even if it is just surface deep. Though we haven't had over the last few months of a ton of earth and fire sign energy and not as much air. So I like to see this. And in that area, like of the middle of the month as well, I guess leading towards the end, from the 19th to the 26th, so that entire week, the Sun will be conjunct Venus in Libra and then briefly move into Scorpio at the very end. Or not briefly, but it'll move into Scorpio at the end. So 19th until the 22nd, the Sun will be conjunct Venus in Libra. We're having a realization around values, around what we love, what we value in terms of a social sense. And then from the 23rd onward until the end of the month, the Sun and the Venus are in Scorpio. So that is demonstrating more awareness of what we value on a really deep, intimate level or life or death situations even. So you can kind of see the progression, like surface, okay. And then 23rd to the 26th particularly, it's like, oh, boom, having those values means I'm going to have to act like this and really do things like this. From the 19th to the 20th, so I kind kind of got ahead of myself, but move back a little bit to when they're in Libra. They will be squaring Pluto and Capricorn, so there could be some passive aggression or manipulative energy to how we tie up the social issues that could lead us to have to go deep and really analyze what we mean and what we're really concerned with end of the month. Because on the 23rd, the Sun and Venus enter Scorpio, starting Scorpio season as we head into Halloween, which is a much darker, much more serious, much more emotionally volatile energy of experiencing the highs and the lows of life rather than staying in the Libra middle ground that it really loves to be in. And on the 25th, right after Scorpio season begins, there is a solar eclipse in Scorpio. Now, this eclipse is conjunct Venus, which is nice, but all eclipses are malefic or destructive in nature, which does not make them bad, but does bring a big red warning, flashing light with them. A solar eclipse is a new beginning, but it's on the south node, so it's the beginning of letting go of something, like we're embarking on a long-term journey of letting go of an area of our life. With Scorpio, it involves emotional volatility, the depths of something that we've been heavily attached to. You can look to the Scorpio chart in your Scorpio house in your own chart, or watch my Scorpio solar eclipse video that will be coming out near the middle of October around this. But a solar eclipse, so a huge, large-scale new beginning on the south node, which represents decrease or letting go, means we're about to start basically being an episode of Hoarders. We're going to start undertaking some major clean out of an area of our life. Is conjunct Venus, which is hypothetically lovely and involves like something aesthetic or something that is pleasure-oriented. However, Venus is in its exile in Virgo because it rules the opposite sign of Taurus. So it's this uncomfortable letting go. It's this letting go that's like, eek, I'm really going to have to undertake this. I don't like to value things or have these values that require me to make such a difficult decision. So in the world, this is why I'm highlighting it as something around women's issues or letting go of something, or a decrease in something around women. And with Venus involved, it just usually is women oriented, and the south node being letting go or decrease. So I'll get more into that prediction more seriously as I do the full video on it, because I think there's a lot to unpack there around midterm elections. But in our own lives, we can look at the Scorpio house in our chart and expect an emotional clean out of that area. And in general, people are going to be very, very emotional, very volatile during this time because it's eclipse season and also because it's in Scorpio on the south node. A little bit after that, on the 28th, Jupiter retrograde will re-enter Pisces. So Jupiter was in Pisces earlier this year, and then it was in Pisces in 2021 as well. So themes around opening up areas of the world that might be locked down, so to speak, or might be restricted. Jupiter in Pisces expands the experience and the faith-based areas of life. So I think we could even have some sort of religious revival or a conservative puritanical group really insistent towards the end of the year, almost like they're reinvigorated, which I think could go a little bit in with some of this midterm election things. Just so much of this happening around the end of October does highlight a shift towards water sign prominence and long-lasting emotional overflow, emotional release of what is really close to home. So Jupiter re-entering Pisces is good for things like art and vacationing. It also brings up issues of the market, because the market does not do well when Jupiter's in Pisces generally. It's like flooding everywhere, kind of. Then on the 30th, Mercury enters Scorpio, so communication gets much more less surface level. Oh, that's okay. More like, no, I'm not gonna be there, bitch. So instead of your friend being like, oh, I'll see if I can make it, they're gonna be like, I could think of nothing worse. So honesty, being direct, but also brooding is big with Mercury and Scorpio, but thankfully it has Venus very close to it, so it sweetens it a little bit. But Mercury and Scorpio as we enter November. And then on the same day, Mars stations retrograde in Gemini. So I have a full video that would have come out on this already. I'm going to film it in the next few days here because it is August 29th here in New York as I'm filming this. But Mars in Gemini has been there for a few months, and it will be there until March 2023 because this retrograde brings it all the way back to the beginning and has to make its way back through later on in 2023. But Mars retrograde shows a rethinking of the way that we are taking sides, fighting, or being aggressive on an ideological level. And the square to Neptune likely involves lack of clarity on where we're heading, but an awareness that we're really confused about what we stand for and how we are articulating our message. So we end the month, as I said, with a huge energetic overload of eclipse season, conjunct Venus in Scorpio, Mars stationing retrograde in Gemini. So there's a lot of, wow, eek, the energy changes going on that I think does highlight some increased social and civil tensions heading into midterm season here in the US. So if you have any thoughts around this astrology coming up, feel free to drop them down below. Ton of shifts. I'm almost excited. I am excited about this month as a predictive astrologer. Not that any astrologer is not predictive, but like I literally make a lot of my content around predicting world events and seeing if that happens or not, because there's so much to dig into here that I'm excited to get into that in the other video. But if you have any preliminary thoughts, feel free to drop them down below. Have my tarot cards with me here, so going to pull a tarot card for what we can expect in October. The Chariot, upright, interesting. So the Chariot is associated with the sign of Cancer. It deals with what is your chariot, what's carrying you, what is protecting you from the outside, and what is like the structure that you built around you to support you. So having the Chariot shows that we're going to be concerned with protection, a little more internal this month, and about maintaining rather than growing. I think this makes sense given the Libra energy of like, let's just keep this here, and then the Scorpio energy of, oh my god, there's so much to go through and bring up and clean, that what is worth protecting. So the question of what's worth protecting and worth keeping around you for support is really, really prominent this month. If you enjoyed this, as I said, please do comment anything that you would like to share. I do read everything, even though a lot of the time it's so much on all platforms I don't get to respond. But if you have any thoughts, any concerns, any predictions in your own chart or for the world this month, I would love to hear them. And make sure that you like and subscribe. As always, it helps me in the algorithms. And check out any offerings I have down below. I answer questions on Hey Hero and would love to read for you if you're interested. So that's all down below, and I will see you in the next one.
Oh, but there is one.